Fairy tales. Thumbelina. Once upon a time, a woman lived by herself in a faraway village. She was very lonely, but she always wanted to have a child. One day, a kind woman planted a seed given by a wizard to have children. The next morning, a beautiful plant had grown from the seed, a lovely flower that looked like a tulip. The woman gently kissed the flower. As she did that, the flower blossomed. Inside, it was a beautiful little girl, no bigger than the size of the woman's thumb. The woman called her Thumbelina. One night a frog came to her window, grabbed Thumbelina, and hopped away the girl as a bride for her son. When the frog's son saw his bride-to-be, he was very happy, but Thumbelina didn't want to marry the ugly frog and tried to escape from her new home. Two fish decided to help her. Just when Thumbelina thought she was free, a beetle came down and took her away to his home. He called over his friends to introduce them to his pretty prisoner. But the beetle's friends told him that she was too different than them and she didn't belong to them. I agree. I think I should let her go. So he dropped her in the long grass. Thumbelina was very happy that she was free. However, she didn't know where her home was. She spent many days in the grass and between the flowers. She would eat the pollen of the flowers and drink the dew from their leaves. It was winter. It was cold and frosty. Thumbelina took shelter in the house of a mouse. "Hello, isn't it cold out there for you today? Come in, please." "Thank you very much." Thumbelina told the mouse her entire story. "You can stay here as long as you like," said the mouse. So Thumbelina started staying in her new-found home. To make herself useful in the house, she would cook for the mouse and tell her stories. After a few days, the mouse said she had invited a guest over. The mouse suggested her to marry her rich neighbor, the mole. Thumbelina had no choice but to go along with what was happening. She agreed to visit his house. On the way, they entered a tunnel. There, they found an injured swallow lying on the ground. Unseen by the mouse, Thumbelina took great care of the swallow till she was fit to fly again. It became spring by the time the bird could fly again. "I have to join my family. They have flown away to a warmer place. I cannot stay here. Come with me." But Thumbelina refused. She didn't want to go anywhere else. A few months had passed when the love-struck friend of the mouse found Thumbelina again. "Oh, my beloved, I've been looking for you everywhere. I must marry you." Thumbelina knew there was no way out of it for her. She asked the mole if she could spend one last day out in the open air before she was confined to living the rest of her life underground with him. Suddenly, Thumbelina heard, "Come, come away with me, where your spirit will always be free," said the swallow. Thumbelina saw her old friend who had returned to her. This time around she agreed and hopped on the back of the swallow, and they took off. They flew over land and water and fields of green. When they reached the beautiful land, the swallow landed Thumbelina on the beautiful flower. This is the kingdom of the flowers. As soon as she saw this beautiful land, she knew she wanted to call this place home. Thumbelina saw a handsome young elf with beautiful wings. He was surrounded by lovely flowers. Her presence attracted the elf's attention. He fell in love with her immediately. "Will you marry me?" asked the elf. "Yes," replied Thumbelina with a big smile. As happiness spread across her face, she grew a beautiful pair of wings to fly together with the elf. Soon they got married and lived happily ever after. The end.